Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
I appreciate you being one of my mock clients. As you know, I'm a student with Gwen and Mercy. So I am in the counseling track specifically for school counseling.
Yes.
And we had practiced informed consent before,
Mm-hmm.
but just to review that, anything that you find uncomfortable either in the recording, I'm able to redact that if that's something that you don't want other people to see. The recording is for critique purposes for me, so there will be no critique of you, but some of my classmates as well as my professor will be reviewing just me and how I'm presenting myself and kind of give me feedback on how to grow from there. And like I said, if there's anything that you wish other people should not know or you don't want to know, we can take that out and move on from there.
Okay.
Does that sound good to you?
Yeah.
All right. So, how have you been doing lately?
I've been okay. It's been about 2 months since my grandfather died, so that's been really hard. But, I've kind of been getting through that. I work a lot, and that helps keep my mind off of things. But I have noticed that in my home life, I've been very controlling, I guess you could say, or like specific. I know I used to be like that when I was younger, and then I kind of got better at not doing that. But I've definitely been getting more specific and particular about the way that things are, like the dish towels in my house, or what knife you use to cut a loaf of bread, which is so stupid, but I'm like that anyway. But I think it might be having kind of an effect on the people around me, even though I'm really trying not to. But my roommate actually talked to me about it the other day, so that was kind of difficult. But she said that, she came in and talked to me about like an issue, whatever happened, I don't even know, it wasn't even that big of a thing, but she kind of like used it as a way to, what did she say? She was like, she brought up how particular I've been during like whatever she was talking to me about. That wasn't that big of a thing.
Yeah.
And it kind of like really, really struck a nerve with me. Like I had a really hard time. I didn't expect her to say that. And then it kind of left me in like this open territory where my mind was just like, what is she talking about? I didn't mean to do that. Like, it was very vague. It was very like beat around the bush. So I really had a hard time with that. It kind of sent me into like a spiral, actually, to be honest. So I spent like a week with that issue, but I guess during that whole time, I had like a breakdown. But I ended up having to talk to her about the issue because I couldn't move on without talking about it. And, we live together. So we had to talk about it. And she said that the way that like I was being so particular made her feel like she was stupid, or that like she wasn't doing things right, that I thought that she was stupid, I guess is more the issue, that that I perceived her as being stupid. And that kind of really hurt me because I obviously don't feel that way, and it's kind of sad that my actions would make her feel that way.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of very like explicit with her that is not the case, and I told her that it made me sad that it made her feel that way, but that's never my intention. I don't even realize that I'm doing it when I'm doing it most of the time. And I don't really know why I was doing it. Sorry. But I was, and that, she needs to let me know in the moment if that is the issue, so that I can fix it right away instead of like letting it all build up and then being very vague when trying to speak to me about it.
Yeah.
Because that just set me into like a spiral of what was the issue, like, which wasn't really fair. But I'm I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
So.
Well, yeah. I mean, it sounds like you said a good amount there. So, like, you started kind of with this grief that is happening with your grandpa, right? And then we move into some issues that are happening actively in your life, especially with your roommate. And before that, you were even mentioning how with work, that's a good distraction. You've been working a lot. And I feel like with that, there's got to be exhaustion as well.
Oh, yeah.
But then after that, some of the keywords you mentioned were like the issue with your roommate, but then like spiral, and specifically a week, and so during that week leading up to when you spoke with her, how was that for you?
The week before or the week during?
The week during, like before you had that kind of culminating conversation, it seems like, or...
So we actually had that conversation the day of.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. But, so I guess, like the week before this happened, I was really happy. Like all of these good things were happening. I went to the Phillies game for like for the championship series, and they won, and it was like amazing. We had a Halloween party, and it was really fun, and like there was a lot going on with that, all the setting up and everything. It was all really fun for me. And then the day after that, this happened, and I think I went from like being at this really high, happy place to like this sudden low. And that's what caused this whole like spiral. So that week kind of really sucked. I like could not get out of, well, I did. I got myself out of bed, but I really struggled to get out of bed every day that week, especially the Monday. And when I was at work, I really only went to work because I wanted to call out sick, but I went in because I knew that I had like issues that I had to deal with at work, and if I wasn't there, it was just going to build up, and it was going to be worse the next day. So I went in to deal with all of that. But I had people at work all day asking me if I was okay because my eyes were all swollen from the day before, and that I seemed really off, and that I was tired, and which was all very true. So, and then I think with all that stress, I developed a cold. So that made that even more fun. But so that really sucked, but I actually signed up. I've been wanting to sign up for therapy during that time, but before, but this kind of finally drove me to actually do it. So I actually had my first session yesterday. Yeah, with that.
So, and how did that go for you?
It was good. She basically said that all the things that I'm experiencing are symptoms of grief, and that they're perfectly normal.
Yep.
And that, people should be very understanding of that, because despite that, I feel like, it's already been 2 months. It's only been 2 months.
2 months, yes.
And that I'm really in the thick of it right now, especially since for the first few weeks afterwards, my grandfather died the day before I went back to work. So I really had no time to deal with it. And it was like the first week is the hustle bustle of the funeral, all of that stuff. I wrote the eulogy. I did all of that. Like you're busy. And then all of a sudden and then I went to work, and I didn't really think about it. And then
you had tasks to do during the immediate, and following that you had tasks that had nothing to do with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But as like time went on, it was around the week of his birthday, which was the same day as his 1 month, that I started to notice it outside of work. When I would get in my car, all of a sudden I would be really sad. And I would struggle to like come out of that until I got to work the next day. I think there was a little bit of isolation, but it's okay. That's normal. But she said that everything, that's going on seems perfectly normal, as long as I'm not having any kind of like, of the really bad stuff. Which, but I'm not having any of that.
Any purely depressive or suicidal, homicidal, I'm assuming is...
Yes.
Yes.
Or like using like alcohol is,
Yeah.
Which I'm not doing that
Rather
either.
than coping.
Yes.
Minimizing, yeah.
Yes. I'm not doing that either. So everything's fine with that. But I did talk to her about the issue with my roommate. And, you know, we were talking about how my roommate also kind of went through, like, she just went through the death of her grandmother. So it kind of hurt me that I thought that she would be extremely understanding of what I'm going through. So I think that even added on to why it hurt me so much that she said that to me.
Yeah.
Because I thought that, you know, out of like everybody, she would get it. She just went through it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she would get that I needed, that was where my head was. And, you know, she kind of said, my therapist was like, you seem like you're the type of person who people lean on. Like, you describe it like you're very reliable, you're very steady, like, you keep things going, which is something that I think a lot of people would describe me as. And
mm-hmm.
I actually thought of, I forget who it was, if it was you or her, that said about how, you know, the train on the rails, what's the saying?
So you're on, is it the
when
one
the
where,
train goes off the rails, right?
yes, or when you're on a different track where you feel like you're off the rails, but you might just be on a different track.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we always would say that, you know, I'm the rails. Like, everybody else is the train, but I'm the rails that you follow. I was like, and I don't feel like I'm the rails right now. Like, I'm not that person that people can rely on to do things right now. And, you know, she was saying it seems like your roommate is honestly having a hard time dealing with the fact that you're not there to support her right now.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of eye-opening. I think that makes a lot of sense, actually.
How are you doing or feeling with the fact that other people aren't seeing you as their rails or being able to rely on you like they have been?
I actually hope that people kind of make that realization
mm-hmm.
that they can't, because I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do it. And, you know, my roommate has a lot going on right now. Like, she had the death of her grandmother. She had the death of her grandfather a few years ago. She's got the issues with her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't be there for her all the time with this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I got my own stuff to deal with. Like,
And grief on top of grief is hard.
Yeah. I think maybe I almost kind of resent the fact that her grandmother died when my grandfather was sick.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had to start, maybe it's that, like, I wasn't selfish when her grandmother died. Like, I was there for her through everything. And it's not that she wasn't there for me, but sometimes I feel like she still relies on me way more than I relied on her
mm-hmm.
during that time. You know, and I'm like, I feel like there's kind of an uneven balance, and that bothers me. Like, not terribly. Like, we're different. I'm a little more reflective, and that I can realize that she can't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe she's coming to the realization that I can't handle it, and that she needs to stop.
Again, it sounds like, so I've heard, like, a lot of people relying on you and you feeling like that is a part of who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not a bad thing, but people needed to understand where you're able to be reliable at the moment
mm-hmm.
and where you can't be. And it seems like this person is kind of crossing that boundary and making the realization now
mm-hmm.
rather than ahead of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm glad we talked about boundary setting.
Yes, boundary setting is very important.
That's not something I'm good at.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to get better at it. I was always very much a yes person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll help you out with this and this and this, and I can't keep doing that. I'm still doing it. I'm still saying I can do everything to help everybody out. I do it at work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't do it, and I need to stop.
And work and personal life are so different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, what we're able to accomplish or take on at work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we might not be able to